A purpose-driven life does not happen on accident. There's so many people that are intimidated or they feel overwhelmed when it comes to the simple question of what is your purpose? And it's my desire that you not only know your purpose, but that you live in your purpose and that you make an impact on purpose. And so today in this conversation, we're going to be talking about 3 things to create a purpose-driven life. Welcome to the Dream Lifestyle Podcast. This is your space to lead yourself well so you can make an impact in your life. If you're new here and you are interested in goals, mindset, and self-leadership, I'd encourage you to hit that subscribe button simply because that allows you to stay up to date with all of our conversations throughout the month, as well as it allows this platform, this show to go out to other ambitious dreamers, leaders, and high achievers like yourself. So I encourage you to do that so you can join this community of people who simply just want to make a positive impact in our lives and the lives of the people around us, our communities, and just the world. Because, I have a real passion to help dreamers achieve their biggest goals. And this is one of the ways that I do it. And I absolutely love it. And I support you. So I encourage you to join this community so that way I can just give you all tips, tricks, and advice and, just all the insights that I have from my own personal experience. I get on here and I make sure I share only things that I have experienced and or done or am going to do or that God is working on in me. And I believe it's valuable. It's valuable thus far. So today's conversation, we're talking about creating a purpose-driven life. And for a lot of people, when that word purpose is used, so many people immediately are apprehensive when it comes to the topic of purpose, simply because it is something that people are uncertain about, but it's also something that people recognize that they need. And there's a dynamic that exists when it comes to the topic of purpose, because you have a group of people that are very clear on their purpose. They know exactly what it is. They make decisions based off of it. They are living a purpose-driven life. But then you also have another group of people who aren't quite certain. You have another group of people who have no idea, and they're almost they almost feel like a level of shame because they're not sure what their purpose is. And so my goal in this conversation is to just bridge that gap, where if there's some of you that you may know your purpose, well, I'm going to challenge you to really make sure that you're living a purpose-driven life. Or you may not know what your purpose is, or you may not be clear on your purpose. Well, my hope in this conversation is to allow you to take one step towards that purpose-driven life, because, knowing your purpose is one step. But it's a whole nother step to know your purpose and then make sure that your life is in alignment with that purpose. And when we think about this topic of just creating a purpose-driven life, we're talking about knowing our purpose, but we're also making sure that all of my decisions, all of my actions, all of my attitudes are in alignment with the purpose, with my big why, that it all is in alignment. It's all congruent with why I'm here on earth. And the benefits of living a purpose-driven life is simply that you're at peace. When you are living according to your purpose, you will never go without. When you're living according to your purpose, you will always have prosperity. You will never be without, simply because you are operating in your purpose. So I say all that to simply express to you how important it is that each of us as dreamers, each of us as leaders, that we understand what our purpose is, and that we really apply that purpose to our lives. So 2 quick things I want to mention off the top that aren't really a part of the 3 things I'm going to share, but they're kind of just general thoughts when you think about just knowing your purpose. Number 1, it's that your purpose needs to be pursued. Because what I need you to understand is that purpose is not something that's just going to fall into your lap. Purpose is not going to be something that you just wake up one morning and you just have a eureka moment and you know what your purpose is. Purpose is not going to come from somebody else telling you. Purpose is something that you alone have to take responsibility over, and it's something that you have to go and pursue. And this is important simply because for a lot of people, you may be in a space of uncertainty when it comes to your purpose, and you're wondering or waiting for it to come to you, and it's not going to simply because you're not pursuing it. So off the top, I need you to know that your purpose is something that needs to be pursued. It does not happen on accident. It's something that you have to take responsibility over to discover. The second thing that I need you to know, just straight off the top, is that purpose has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with everyone around you. What does this mean? When you think about whatever your purpose is, understand that you are not the only benefactor to your purpose. So here's an easy clue to figure out, hopefully take one step towards your purpose. If you are the only person benefiting from it, that is not your purpose. The only way it's your purpose is if you are able to do it completely fulfilled, you're able to do it for free, and other people get the benefit from you doing whatever it is. That's what living in purpose is. That's a part of living a purpose-driven life where you are basically making decisions, you have a certain attitude, you live your life in a certain way that is for the benefit of others, where you are always adding to a situation. And when you think about your favorite leaders, when you think about anyone great, they know how to operate in real purpose, meaning that they know how to add and positively impact other people around them, whether it's virtually, whether it's digitally, whether it's in person, whatever it is. We want to make sure that when you think about your purpose and you're trying to narrow it down, you're trying to figure it out, you're pursuing it, you need to make sure that you're not the only person benefiting from it. And this is seasonal. This is something that needs to be evaluated, and we're going to get to it. But those are two things I just want to share with you off the top when you just think about the concept of your purpose. Number one, purpose is something that needs to be pursued. Number two, purpose has nothing to do with you, but it has everything to do with everyone around you. Okay? So with those things in mind, the first thing that you're going to need to do in order to create a purpose-driven life, okay, is identify a big problem and a personal passion. Okay, identify a big problem and a personal passion. So when you think about a big problem, number one, it's just something that angers you, something that frustrates you, something that saddens you, there needs to be a problem that exists that elicits some sort of emotional response from you. Now, the other part of this big problem is that it needs to be on the level of society, not individual. Because, as we talked about, your purpose has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with everyone around you. So when you're looking for your big problem, it is something that gets on your nerves. It is something that saddens you. It is something that is heartbreaking, but it is in the context of society. It has to do with more people than just you. And another factor of this big problem is that while it is a big problem on a society level, it did affect you personally. In other words, there is a big problem that exists in society, whether it's poor healthcare, whether there's a lack of funding or a lack of education or whatever it is. The list goes on and on and on. But this big picture problem, this big societal problem also impacted and affected you, most of the time negatively, personally. And when you look at a lot of our businesses that we have, you look at a lot of our influential, impactful people, a lot of the times they have built organizations, they've built businesses, they've done whatever they've done in order to fix whatever problem exists on a society level. And they are living purpose-driven lives. And that's why the first half of this is you want to identify your big problem. So I just want you to think about, what is a problem that exists in society, whether it's, your race, whether it's, your states, whether it's where you're local, whatever it is, but just on a society level with a larger group of people, what is a big problem that they face that you don't like, and it's something that has impacted you negatively. That's how you're able to identify that big problem. Now, the second half is you don't only identify the big problem, you also identify a personal passion. All right. You identify a personal passion. So what is a personal passion? A personal passion is something productive that you truly enjoy. Simple. In other words, what do you like to do that is productive? So things like sleeping, things like eating, things like watching TV, those aren't necessarily, or I should say, those are not usually described as productive. So those don't really count in this, because you may be very passionate about your sleep, and I get it. I like my sleep just like anybody else. but that's not necessarily helping me impact the lives of other people if I'm sleeping all day, every day. And the same is true for you. So when you think about a personal passion and you're just trying to think through, okay, what is it that I just genuinely like to do? And this is an activity, this is a task that you will do regardless of pay. You will do regardless of how long it takes. Like, you just enjoy it. Like, if someone left you in a room with this task, with this passion, you'd be entertained till the end of time, right? That's your personal passion. For me, in my context and everything that I do, I have a passion for communication. I love talking, I love words, I love language, all of it. So for me, a part of my living a purpose-driven life is simply the fact that I've identified a personal passion for me, which is communicating. It's talking. I could talk all day about goals, mindset, and self-leadership because I love it. Now, there's also some topics I don't really feel like talking about, but we'll get to that in a second. But when you think about just creating your purpose-driven life, it really does start with, number one, identifying a big problem and a personal passion. All right. I'll even give you guys my example. For me, a big problem that I've seen that has basically driven all that I do. Number one, for me, being in ministry, the biggest problem that I see is that people don't know Jesus. Like, they really don't know who he is. They don't know why he died. They don't have him in their lives. That for me is a big problem. And through ministry, I aim to solve that problem. And at least on the Craft Your Dream side, I know so many people, dreamers, who have amazing ideas, but they allow fear to stop them. And that is a problem that I want to fix. And that's why I've built all that I've built. That's why I do all that I do, to really solve those two big problems. And you may be like me, you may have two problems, but for the sake of just starting out off, depending on where you are, start off with one. Nothing wrong with starting off with one, right? But overall, number one, just to recap it again, identify a big problem and a personal passion. And the reason why you want to do this, the benefit of identifying a big problem and a personal passion, is that you will make better decisions. And these better decisions will be in line with the solution to the problem, along with being aligned with your personal passion. So when I've identified a big problem that I want to solve, as well as I've identified a personal passion, my decisions will be better. I'll make decisions that are in line with my personal passion, and I'm going to make decisions that allow me to operate in order to solve the big problem that I've identified, right? Now, once I am making better decisions, right, and now it's kind of a part of my quote unquote, it's in my mental Rolodex, we'll say. The next thing that you need to do, number two, is that you need to write your purpose down and keep it visible. Okay, write your purpose down and keep it visible. And this is important because, particularly when you're in the stage of uncertainty and you're pursuing and you're hearing all the stuff I'm saying, where you know your big problem, you know what you're passionate at, that's productive, right? You really enjoy it, and you're making decisions. This is crucial. You want to write your purpose down and keep it visible. Number one, simply because it matters. You're writing it down simply because it matters, flat out. Your purpose matters. All the decisions that you make, you want to make sure that it stays in line with the vision. And when you write it down, you are basically giving yourself that foundation. You're giving yourself a consistent resource, so that way you can always keep it top of mind. And then the second half of it is keeping it visible. So just practically speaking, don't write down your purpose or what you think your purpose may be in a notebook that you're never going to open again. If you need to, rip out a piece of paper and stick it to your mirror in your bathroom or something like that. But you want to keep it visible so that way you can actually see it consistently. It helps. It goes a long way. You may be listening to me and you're like, Trev, that sounds crazy. But I'm encouraging you to try it because, again, your purpose should be pursued. And you're going to need to go to some extreme lengths in order to make it happen. So you want to write it down so that way, I should say you should write it down, write your purpose down and keep it visible. One, because it matters. So you're going to make it a big deal. Number two, you're going to keep it visible so you can stay focused. All right. Now, you may be like, well, Trev, I don't really want to have it out. I don't want people to see it. Well, understand your purpose is going to need to be something that you are unashamed of. When you know what your purpose is and you've really identified your big problem that you want to solve and you know what your personal passions are, then anyone who is not understanding of that, anyone who is not receptive to that, really does not belong in your life. Because what I can tell you is that purpose is going to attract the right people, but it also will send away the people that don't belong. And so your purpose needs to be something that you're unashamed of. So don't be afraid to write it down and keep it visible. Now, that's number 2. Write your purpose down and keep it visible. Now, you may be like, all right, Trev, but it's not really specific. Like, I don't really have much. I hear what you're saying. I have a big problem, right? I know what I've experienced and it's something that I want to solve that's on a society level. I know what I'm good at. I know what I like to do. I've written it down, but like what I have to write down really doesn't seem like much. It doesn't seem like anything too complicated. Well, let me tell you, this is the most important part. Number 3, start small, then get specific. Number 3, start small, then get specific. So whatever you write down, you're just starting small. You just need to write something down. Then as you're pursuing purpose, you can get more specific. By starting small, you are basically equipping yourself to get started when it comes to living a purpose-driven life. And when you're on this level, let me just give you 4 things that I think most people's purposes fall under in some way, shape, or form. Let me know what you guys think of these. You're either going to help other people, you're going to empower other people, connect other people, or educate other people. More or less, when you think about anyone's purpose, they fall in these categories, right? In these buckets. And you just want to start small. So if you might not know exactly what your purpose is, right? Where it's a clear statement that you can write down, have it on a poster and all that different type of stuff. If all you have in a purpose statement is my purpose is to help people, then you write that down and you make decisions that are in alignment with helping people. And as you start small and you get more specific, you're then able to find certain areas, certain methods, certain ways in which you personally like helping people. And more as you do that, you're going to start getting more specific with, okay, this is what my purpose is within this category of helping people. Now, that's just an example. You may be like, all right, Trev, well, I know I like educating people. The same applies. You make decisions that are in alignment with educating other people. So that way you are simply always pursuing it. And when you do find it, when you are clear on, okay, specifically, I know what my purpose is, it's like finding gold. And everything about this pursuit is about living a purpose-driven life. And so when you think about your purpose statement, it needs to be a specific and a clear sentence. That's the whole purpose. So for this point number 3 that we're on right now, right, where I'm talking about just starting small and then getting specific, it's all set where you can create your purpose statement. And your purpose statement, like I said, needs to be a specific and clear sentence, because this needs to be the driving force. This needs to be the intention. This needs to be the goal. This needs to be the result of every single decision that you make. Okay. Every single decision needs to be aligned with your purpose. And so for me, let me give you my example. My purpose statement is to lead people to Jesus and help dreamers make an impact. Simple as that. That is my I know that I'm here on this earth to lead other people to Jesus and to help dreamers make an impact. That's mine. And that took work. For me personally, I started off with my purpose simply being, well, my purpose is to help people. Flat out. I'm telling you things that I did myself. So when you think about your purpose, I just want you to start small. And then as you start pursuing, as you start doing, the road to your purpose, whatever your purpose is, will become a lot clearer. Simply because you started small and then you got specific. All right. And don't be intimidated. This is not something to be intimidated by. This is not something to be frustrated by or anything like that. It's a pursuit. And you simply have to be willing to walk it out. All right. So to recap everything that we talked about in this conversation, number 1, you're going to identify a big problem and a personal passion. Okay. Number 2, you're going to write your purpose down and keep it visible simply because it's a big deal and it's something you should be unashamed of. Number 3, you're going to start small, then get specific. All right. Start small, then get specific for your purpose statement, because each season things are going to change. You're going to learn more. You're going to grow, right? You're really going to grow. And as you grow, as you get more information and skills, that purpose will become clear. And when you do these things, like we talked about, you will be living a purpose-driven life because you are always in pursuit of it. And when you do find it, all your decisions are going to be in line with why you're here on this earth. So I hope that this conversation was helpful to you. If it was, be sure to leave me a comment, whatever you may think of it. Be sure to like it. And I'm going to ask you 2 favors. Number 1, I'm going to ask you to share this with someone. Share this with someone that you know, someone that you care about. Along with that, I'm going to ask you to download the free growth guide that is in the description link below. That growth guide is a free resource to you, so that way you're able to start your personal growth journey to your biggest goals, as well as it'll help you find out more about the 5 growth traps that can keep you stuck in fear and away from your biggest goals. So I'm encouraging you to download that. It's a very free resource to you. So as you all know, we have these conversations throughout the month, and I want you to be a part of it. So if you haven't, also be sure to hit that subscribe button to join this community of dreamers, leaders, and high achievers. And always remember that your dream is possible when you lead yourself well.